You want a clean trash bag always in the bucket? Here's a simple trick. But that's just a little thing. Now we're going to do bigger things. With the right markings, it's easy to get the metal profile firmly in place. Pliers will help make the construction even safer. Nails and screws on the floor can be dangerous. It's very easy to step on them. It's a good idea to keep everything out of the way. Refilling a lighter? Not a problem. Surprising as it may sound, we need a syringe, or rather, this little piece of it. We cut it up and we put it on the bottle. You're good to go. Here comes the fire. Again, those tricky corners. Too bad you can't make a house without them at all. Well, we have to find a solution. Let's try to lay laminate beautifully without unnecessary gaps and joints. Memorize how to do the markings correctly. Use a lid from any paint bucket. It will help you cut an even circle. Done! It looks great. You don't know how to secure wire pipes to the wall? Get some more corrugated pipe. Yes, you heard correctly. I know it sounds paradoxical, but soon you will see. 2 small pieces of corrugated pipe. Screw them to the wall. Let's see how it works. Look, it's holding up great. A bank card will help make accurate measurements. Don't worry, it won't get damaged. How easy is it to clean a paddle mixer? Wait until everything dries out. As you can see, it works. To do painting work at height is not easy, especially if you're short or if you don't have a ladder. And if it's both of them, you cannot miss our life hack. Luckily, you will only need 1 rope to bring it to life. It may seem easy to mark up a piece of wood, but the pencil keeps crumbling. We can avoid that by using the border of a measuring tape. A nail will help hold the wire firmly in place. Hook it like this and wrap it all around the nail. The nail can be bent or hammered better. To hide a screw in the wood, it's good to make a small hole the size of the head of the screw. Did you know that foam cans are full of surprises? For example, there are balls like this inside each of them. If you don't remove them after work, they will stick to the vault. We don't need that at all. I think it's time for a little rest and a snack. Work has made me hungry. I suggest making a salad with green peas. Do you know how to open the can?
Placing a lollipop stick into the center of some PVC pipe and then filling it with some hot glue. After letting it dry, we can cut off most of the lollipop stick and then drill in a couple of holes. Now we have a replacement. A screen window is a must, especially during the summer. Unfortunately, this screen isn't super easy to install. We can make a plastic tab like this one to help. Simply lift up the rubber spline using a flathead screwdriver and put our tab underneath and push everything down into the slot. Now we can install our screen from the inside. This nozzle is cut a little too small to apply our sealant quickly. Let's modify the nozzle. First we'll melt the tip and seal it shut. Then we'll make a vertical incision along the nozzle. Now we can apply a much thicker layer faster. And once we're finished, we can seal everything up with a bit of duct tape. We don't want the raw wood to be exposed on our baseboards, so we'll cut everything to look a little bit more professional. We can cut clean 45-degree angles to the baseboard on both ends. Now we can line up the ends to form a neat angle. Tape the two ends together, then flip it over and add a piece of double-sided tape. This will keep our end piece secure. Sometimes we need a small foam brush to paint our projects. We can make one by hot gluing a pencil to a binder clip and then cutting off a piece of sponge for the brush head. Apply the paint like so. When finished, replace the old sponge with a new one. Here we're tying a prusik hitch, also known as a prusik knot. It's a rather useful knot because it's simple to tie and simple to untie. It stays secure under tension and it moves freely when not under tension. Besides being used in rock climbing, it's especially useful for tying rope to fixed posts. Now we're going to be joining these two beams together in a relatively simple way. We'll make some marks to match the width of the crossbeam and make another mark halfway deep. Next, we'll remove this section by making multiple cuts into the wood with a saw. Now we can break off the remaining clips. Then we can smooth out the bottom of our cut with either a miter saw like so, or simply by using a chisel. Now we'll use two screws to make our marks into both pieces of the wood to drill holes for dowels. We can use a pencil to make it easier to see the indents. Drill holes on the indents and install the dowels. Next, we'll add two more dowels into the corners, ensuring that the hole that we drill is angled. This is called a pocket hole. Fill the hole with glue and hammer in the dowels. Next, we'll saw off the ends of the dowels that are sticking out. Let's move on to our next project, which will be adding a depth stop to our hand saw. Start by cutting out a rectangle piece of wood that's the length of the saw blade and cut it about half its width. Next, we want to cut out two notches that are the same width as the bolts we'll be using to attach the depth stop to the saw. It's easier if we drill holes first and then saw out the remainder of the notch. A little bit of sanding wouldn't hurt either. Place the wood onto the saw blade and then make two marks in each notch, the higher the better. Using a center punch, we can make sure our drill stays lined up. Drill the holes into the saw blade. Slide one bolt into each hole, then place our depth stop, and lastly add a washer and a wing nut to each bolt. Now we can adjust our depth stop to the height that we need. It seems like this clothespin is unable to pick up this nut, but we can make a little adjustment to turn the clothespin into a handy pair of tweezers. Remove the spring and flip the sticks inside out. Reattach the spring, and now our tweezers can pick up all sorts of little things. Here's a fun little party trick using matches and a syringe. First, take the syringe apart. Dispose of the needle properly. Take a box of matches and cut out the rough side of the matchbox. Roll the cutout around the tip of a match. Next, we'll wrap it multiple times using tape. It matches the width of the inside of the syringe. Place the match and the tape inside the syringe. Now, just slam the plunger down onto the table to ignite the match. Here we have a piece of ribbon that's cut. Instead of gluing it, we can tie it together using a simple overhand knot. Pass the second piece of ribbon around the knot like so. For our last project, we'll be making an adjustable wrench by welding together a few nuts and bolts. First, we'll secure a square tube in our vise and then weld a nut onto the end. We can grind down some of the rough edges using an angle grinder. Next, we'll put 2 nuts onto an extra long bolt, spaced about 2 inches apart. Secure one of the nuts near the end of the square tube with a clamp, and then weld both nuts onto the square tube. Now we need to make a fixed jaw, also known as the top of the clamp. To do that, we'll cut off a piece of scrap metal in the shape of an L. Now we'll weld this piece. Again, we'll grind off some of the rough edges with an angle grinder. Now we can use it just like a normal wrench when you don't happen to have the exact size wrench or socket for the job. Just twist the bolts according to the size that you need. It can even be used for abnormal shaped objects